Now we'll see the vectors in MATLAB. So what is vectors? So vectors we can simply say it is single columns. So okay, it comes into the two flavors, right? Row vectors and column vectors. Okay, single we can say a single row. So row vectors. So we can say the list of numbers separated by, just a second. Okay. So the row vectors, the first type of this vector, we can say a list of numbers separated by either commas or spaces. So we'll see in MATLAB so how we can create a row vectors. It should be separated by either commas or spaces, right? Then it will create row vectors. So whatever the number that we enters, it will also known as the length of that vector, right? So we can check the how many elements are there in that vector. So we can also use this using this length function and can check the how many elements are there. So entries are often referred to as element or components. Okay, so whatever the data or that values that we create or assign into that variables, it will be called as element or components, right? So entries must be enclosed in square brackets. So these are some rules that how we can create the row vectors in MATLAB, right? Some vectors also in MATLAB you can create like colon notation. So if this is simply a shortcut to produce a row vectors, right? If you just give the row the colon notation there, so we can simply take or create a multi-dimensional arrays, sorry, vectors, right? So if I give like a colon b colon c, so it will produce a vector of entries with starting with the value, then it will increment the values by whatever the values that we have given. For example, if you just start with the a instead of the 10, and the next value incrementing like 2, and c it will be the last. So it will give me the value, for example, 10, 12, 14, 16. So it will be incrementing, right? And last value, if you can say that c is 16, so 10 to 16 and to incrementing 2, it will give me the values, right? Also we can extract some bits of vectors from the that datas, right? The next type of this vector is the column vectors. Okay, so we can also create some column vectors in MATLAB. So these have some similar construct to the row vectors. So when defining them, so entries are separated by the the new lines, we can say, or the colon, right? So column vectors may be added or subtracted. So we can provide it that they have the same length. Okay. So if you are doing some multiplication or any mathematical operation, so that values or vectors of the data should be same length. Okay. Then we can do some operation on it. We can also convert a row vector into column vectors, or we can say like a vice versa. So by this process it is called a transporting, so denoted by this this sign, right? This will be a transposing of vector.